Imagine your entire identity is built on your success,
Well,
your wealth, your output, your influence.
right, the things we can measure.
Exactly. You spent your entire life curating this bulletproof resume.
Hmm.
You're building an empire, making sure you are completely indispensable. And then overnight, the screens just go dark.
Yeah, the money stops flowing.
The influence completely evaporates. And you're left wondering, when the doing completely stops, who are you?
It's a terrifying thought, honestly, because we outsource our self-worth to spreadsheets and job titles,
Oh,
and build this intricate scaffolding of productivity, and we convince ourselves it's our actual identity. So if that scaffolding collapses, I mean, it isn't just a financial crisis.
Right. It's a total paralyzing loss of self.
Exactly.
And that specific, existential panic, that is the mission of today's deep dive. We are looking at an ancient text today, Isaiah chapter 23.
Which is a fascinating source for this topic.
It really is. On the surface, it's an ancient oracle detailing the sudden, just catastrophic fall of the wealthy, seemingly unstoppable city of Tyre.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to summarize exactly how this ancient superpower fell. But the real goal is to take this historical blueprint and apply it directly to your 9-to-5 life today.
Because the parallels they're incredibly strong.
They really are. We want to see how this ancient shift in perspective can radically strengthen your trust and relationship with God right now. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Imagine a city that functions like modern-day Wall Street,
Yeah.
mixed with Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
But it's set in the ancient Mediterranean.
Right. It was the absolute gravitational center of commerce. The text actually calls Tyre a mart of nations.
The Mart of Nations.
Yeah. And it describes the harvest of the river as her revenue. In the ancient world, geography was basically destiny, right? And Tyre had essentially hacked the system.
They completely controlled the sea roads.
Exactly. They were the unavoidable toll booth for global trade. They didn't just participate in the economy, they dictated it.
Which is what makes the sudden blackout described in the text so jarring. I mean, Isaiah says, "Howl, ye ships of Tarshish, for it is laid waste, so that there is no house, no entering in."
Wow.
And to understand the weight of that, you kind of have to know what Tarshish represents, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just the next town over.
No, not at all.
In the ancient mindset, Tarshish was the absolute edge of the known world. Likely ancient Spain, or maybe even further.
Yeah.
So the ships of Tarshish were the massive deep-sea cargo vessels of their day.
They were basically the equivalent of our massive modern supertankers, hauling thousands of shipping containers across the Pacific.
Right, so imagine being a sailor on one of those massive ships. You've navigated the treacherous open ocean for months.
Just brutal conditions.
Totally. And you're expecting to arrive at the greatest, loudest, most lucrative port in the world. But you sail into the harbor, and there is just dead silence.
Unsettling.
The docks are empty. The warehouses are, as it says, laid waste. It's a total paralysis of the global supply chain.
And the interesting thing is, the text doesn't blame bad economic policy or even a rival army for this.
No, it doesn't.
It explicitly says, "The Lord of hosts hath purposed it, to stain the pride of all glory, and to bring the honorable of the earth into contempt."
Yeah. Stain the pride of all glory. That is a heavy phrase.
It is, and it's really the operative mechanism of this entire text. You see, Tyre had bought into a very specific illusion.
What kind of illusion?
Well, they believed that because their navies were unmatched and their wealth was basically infinite, they were completely untouchable.
All right.
They mistook their external success for absolute permanent security. So the Lord is intentionally dismantling a system that has elevated itself to the status of a god.
I have to say, I struggle with this part a bit.
Yeah, how so?
Well, if their whole societal function was global trade, why are they being wiped out for being good at it?
That's a fair question.
It feels like getting fired for doing exactly what your job description asks you to do, Is God just inherently anti-capitalist here?
Not exactly, no.
Because if Wall Street or Silicon Valley collapses today, we usually point to, like, subprime mortgages or bad venture capital. We don't usually point to a divine vendetta against commerce.
Yeah.
So what actually broke the system in Tyre?
So the commerce itself wasn't the fatal flaw. The text isn't really a critique of having a functioning economy.
Okay.
The breaking point was the psychological and honestly spiritual arrogance that the wealth produced. Tyre's entire identity became inextricably tied to its output.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, when Isaiah talks about staining the pride of all glory, He's targeting the reality that their wealth had mutated into an idol. They didn't just have money, the money had them.
Wow, the money had them.
Exactly. So when the trade stopped, they didn't just lose their income. Because they had no foundation outside of their commerce, they basically ceased to exist as a people.
You know, if we look at that...
We connect this to the bigger picture.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we can see this exact same psychological trap in modern culture.
Yeah, like LinkedIn culture.
100%. We introduce ourselves by stating our job titles before we even say our name.
It's so true.
We measure the value of a Tuesday by how many tasks we crossed off a list, right? We're constantly quantifying our worth based on our output, living in this quiet terror of the next algorithm update or market shift.
Right, because we construct what is essentially an output identity.
Yes, an output identity.
And an identity tied to output shatters the millisecond those results fluctuate.
Completely shattered.
Think about it. If you're a sales executive
Yeah.
and your worth is tied to your quarterly numbers, what happens when a recession hits?
You're lost.
Or if you're a content creator and your identity is built on viewership, what happens when the platform changes its rules and your views drop by 80%?
You're building a house on shifting sand.
Exactly. And the anxiety of trying to keep that house upright is just exhausting.
It really is.
It reminds me of a world-class professional athlete. We see this narrative play out constantly in sports.
Oh, yeah, that's a perfect example.
You have someone who has trained since they were like 4 years old. Their diet, their sleek schedule, their friendships, their entire public persona.
Everything revolves around the game.
Everything is reverse engineered to produce output on a field. They are celebrated exclusively for their physical metrics. And then one afternoon, during a routine practice, a tendon snaps.
Ouch. Yeah.
A sudden career-ending injury. And just like that, the stadium lights go dark forever.
And the existential crisis that follows that kind of injury is profound. I mean, the depression that so many former athletes experience, it isn't usually about losing the paycheck.
No, it's deeper than that.
It's the trauma of looking in the mirror and having absolutely no measurable stats to define who is looking back. You know, who are they without the jersey?
Man, that is the modern equivalent of the ships of Tarshish arriving at a dead port.
Yes, exactly.
The external validation is just gone. But here is the thing about a collapse of that magnitude. It never happens in a vacuum, does it?
Never.
The text makes it clear that Tyre's fall sent shockwaves across the entire known world. It says that at the report concerning Egypt, they shall be sorely pained. Zidon is told to be ashamed. Basically, everyone is howling.
Because no system exists in isolation, especially one that dictates global movement like Tyre did.
Right.
The farmers in Egypt suddenly had nowhere to sell their massive grain harvests. The merchants of Zidon lost their primary distribution hub. The interconnectedness of Tyre's economy meant that its disruption acted like a contagion.
It's the ultimate demonstration of dangerous dependencies. I mean, if a major semiconductor factory in Taiwan goes offline today, car manufacturing in Detroit halts.
Yeah, and smartphone production in California just freezes.
Our dependencies make us incredibly fragile. But Isaiah doesn't just predict a temporary dip in the market here. He prophesies something that is honestly hard to wrap your head around.
He really does.
He says, Tyre will be completely forgotten for 70 years, according to the days of one king. I mean, that isn't a recession. That is 70 years of total paralyzing silence.
Yeah, a 70-year disruption is a generational wipeout.
A whole lifetime.
Exactly. It means an entire lifetime will pass. The people who built the empire will die, and a new generation will be born and grow old, all while Tyre exists merely as a ghost of its former self.
It's sobering.
It really proves that societal influence and relevance fade drastically faster than human arrogance likes to admit.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
I look at that 70-year silence, and I don't just see a punishment. I see a forced physical cache clearing of an entire society.
Ooh, cache clearing. I like that.
Think about a computer that is running a million toxic, corrupted background processes, right?
Yeah.
It's completely overloaded and crashing.
Yeah.
You can't just tap the space bar to wake it up. You have to pull the power cable entirely. But more than that, a 70-year gap means the people who eventually return to rebuild literally do not possess the neural pathways of their arrogant ancestors.
Wow. Yeah, they're starting fresh.
Exactly. The cultural memory of that toxic pride basically has to be starved to death before anything healthy can take its place.
A forced reset on a generational scale. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Because we almost always view severe disruption, whether it's losing a job, a sudden illness, or a massive financial loss. We view it as a permanent, unredeemable end.
Right, like it's just over.
But the ancient text frames it as a brutal, yet incredibly necessary transition. When the deafening noise of constant production is forcibly removed, you finally have the quiet required to evaluate what actually broke.
You have to sit with it.
Disruption removes the illusion of control. It forces you to sit in the dark and realize that your influence was always temporary.
But the computer eventually boots back up. The 70 years do end.
They do.
We emerge from this generational exile to see what a rebooted system actually looks like. And this is the pivot point. This is where the ancient text suddenly provides the exact blueprint for our modern relationship with God.
Because Tyre doesn't stay a ghost town forever.
No, it returns. But the description of its return is highly unorthodox.
Okay.
The text says that after 70 years, Tyre will sing as a harlot to be remembered. She is told to take a harp, go about the city, and make sweet melodies so she won't be forgotten. She resumes her trade with all the kingdoms of the world.
Yeah.
But sing as a harlot, I mean, that is an incredibly provocative ancient metaphor. Why use that specific imagery?
It's definitely striking.
It implies she is returning to purely transactional, commodified relationships just to survive. She's doing whatever it takes to get attention, to get the ships back in the harbor, to get the commerce flowing again.
Right.
If you stop reading right there, it looks like a tragic failure.
Right.
It looks like after 70 years of punishment, they learned absolutely nothing and just went right back to the same toxic grind.
Well, on the surface, the mechanics of their daily lives do look identical. I mean, they are trading again. They are navigating the seas again.
So what changed?
If you look closer, the underlying architecture has fundamentally changed. The activity is the same, but the purpose of the wealth is entirely different.
Right. This is really the crux of the text. It says, "And her merchandise and her hire shall be holiness to the Lord."
Holiness to the Lord, that's huge.
It explicitly states that this new wealth will not be treasured nor laid up, meaning they are no longer hoarding it to build a false sense of security.
Exactly. They aren't building an identity out of their bank accounts anymore.
Instead, her merchandise will be used for them that dwell before the Lord to eat sufficiently and for durable clothing.
And this raises an important question. What do you actually do with success once you survive the realization that it is completely fragile?
Right.
Once the cash is cleared and you accept that your output cannot save your soul, how do you go back to work on Monday morning?
Well, you go back to work, but you don't take the anxiety with you. So what does this all mean? Let's bring this right down to the ground for your own spiritual life and your own career.
Let's do it.
If you are currently building your internal foundation on your output, on your promotions, your investments, the prestige of your company, you are inevitably going to live in a state of constant humming panic.
Oh, absolutely.
You might hide it well, but deep down, you know the truth. You know a sudden market crash, a shift in the global supply chain, or just a single medical diagnosis can wipe it all away.
That panic is the natural, honestly unavoidable byproduct of asking a fragile system to bear the weight of your soul.
That's a great way to put it.
You're demanding that your career provide a level of security it was never designed to offer. It's like trying to use a paper umbrella to stop a hurricane.
A paper umbrella in a hurricane. Exactly.
Yeah.
But if we use the disruptions in our lives, the forced downtimes, the failures, the moments when our personal ships of Tarshish just stop arriving, if we use those to shift our ultimate trust completely to God, the entire paradigm flips. If you recognize God as the only true, unshakable foundation, then your success is no longer a metric of your human worth.
It changes everything.
Your output is completely decoupled from your identity.
Which is just an incredibly liberating way to live. When your identity is utterly secure in God, you become immune to the existential dread of economic collapse.
Right. It absolutely doesn't mean that losing a job won't be painful.
No, of course not. Or that financial hardship won't cause stress.
Right.
But it means that a career setback won't destroy your core self, because you finally understand that the things that beat your success are not the things that sustain your soul.
That is the shift right there. From hoarding to holiness to the Lord. Our success, our paychecks, our influence, they become tools.
Just tool.
They're merely instruments used to serve others, to provide sufficient food and durable clothing for our communities and our families.
Yeah.
We no longer desperately hoard our achievements to prove to the world that we matter. We can hold our professional success with an open hand.
Because you don't just restore the old system when things get better, right? You redefine its purpose.
You rewrite the code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tyre's still traded with the nations. You can still be ambitious. You can still strive for excellence in your field.
Absolutely.
But true spiritual growth requires you to keep that success in its proper place. It is a resource to be utilized for a higher purpose, never a foundation to be trusted.
We've covered massive ground today.
We really have.
We started by standing on the docks of an ancient, ruined trade empire, staring at a completely paralyzed supply chain. And we've brought that reality all the way to the modern anxiety of the 9-to-5 grind.
It's all connected.
It is. The pride of glory will always be stained, eventually.
Yeah.
Because any identity built on human output is an illusion just waiting to shatter.
So keep your success in its proper perspective. Work diligently, create value, use your resources, but never depend on them for your fundamental security. True stability, the kind that can survive a 70-year silence and a total clearing of the cache, can only come from a foundation built entirely outside of your own performance.
So consider this. If your current professional or social empire collapsed tomorrow and the screens went totally dark, would you spend the next 70 years desperately trying to sing the same old songs just to get your influence back? Or would you finally be free to build something that actually lasts?
Yeah.
How will you apply this information in your life?